In this video, we'll set up a new Vesta controller and connect to it over the network. We'll also show how to plug in a temperature sensor and set it up to monitor room temperature. The Vesta needs to be near an electrical outlet and it needs to be connected to the local network using a network cable. We'll just put it on a workbench in this video. First, we'll connect the power supply and the network cable. Then we'll turn it on. The light in the switch should illuminate, and after a few seconds, one of the front panel LEDs should come on. The Vesta is shipped with a set of simple demo rules that turn on the front panel LEDs based on front panel switch position. Since we want to monitor room temperature, we'll also plug a sensor into channel 1. This is a TS1058 sensor, the standard temperature sensor that we use for most applications. Next, we'll go to a computer and type in the IP address of the Vesta. That's documented on the configuration sheet that ships with the Vesta. Depending on your browser, you might have to preface the IP address with http://. The Vesta web interface should come up in your browser. You'll probably want to bookmark this page so that you don't have to remember and type the IP address every time. You should see a reasonable room temperature for analog input 1. Let's take a quick tour of the tabs in the Vesta web interface. The Home tab shows a simple static page that shows the values of each input and output, as well as the status of all the rules. It also shows the most recent errors and warnings. You can't change anything from this page, so it's not password protected. The Charts tab lets us look at what's happened in the past. There's not much there now, since our Vesta has only been running for a few minutes. We'll cover this tab in depth in another video. The GUI, or GUI, Graphical User Interface tab, alternates between two displays. The first display is read-only. You can't change anything, so it isn't password protected. Clicking on the GUI tab a second time brings up an interactive password-protected version where you can set the value of any output. For instance, clicking GUI button will trigger several rules and illuminate an additional front panel LED for 15 seconds. You can also watch a timer variable count down and see the LED go out when it reaches 0. The rules behind this behavior are part of a simple example that's delivered with the Vesta, and they're covered in our inline documentation. The Physical I/O tab is where we set up the actual inputs and outputs that we're going to use. For instance, this is where we tell the Vesta what type of sensor we have plugged into each input. In this case, we're using a TS1058 in analog input channel 1. Since that's the default, we don't have to change it. The Data Elements tab is where we can create variables and assign more useful names to the inputs and outputs. This tab is password protected, but we've already supplied the password in a previous step. In this example, we're using analog input 1 to monitor room temperature. We'd like to call it room temperature instead. Simply type room temperature in place of analog input 1 and press enter. The new name will now appear everywhere in the system, although it won't take effect in the charts until the following day. If we return to the GUI tab, we'll see that the new name appears next to the live value from our sensor. The Rules tab is where you can create and edit the rules that determine system behavior. The Logs tab shows all the log files for the controller. The system log files are here, as well as the data log files. The data log files are date stamped, and each contains the data logs for a specific day. Clicking on any log file downloads it in spreadsheet form to your computer. The System tab displays information about the Vesta. This is also where you can make and restore backups and change certain system parameters. Finally, you can view and/or download any of the system configuration files here. That's it. Your Vesta is up and running. It's already monitoring and logging room temperature, and it's ready to be put to work. Thanks for watching.